What is up, my Crusaders? Hellblazer 1337 is here to beat Scholar of the First Sin. Now, from the last video, I already beaten the game.
Shoot, dang it!
But I forgot the requirements to fight Audio. So I took it upon myself to play again on New Game Plus with a weapon that the Lord himself bestowed upon me. The Handmaiden's Ladle. And I'm just gonna let you know, it was not fun. But it was not impossible either. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Why? Why are you doing this? You always say in your videos that you hated the Dark Souls games, and they're not your cup of tea, so why go back to it after all that? Why go back to it? Like, why bother? Well, one, I want to beat the Scholar of the First Sin, Audio. And two, beating the game on New Game Plus with a ladle was sort of an inside joke that me and my brother started, so I thought it would be impossible. Until I found out later while I was playing it, it is possible to beat the game with this weapon. So that's what I'm here for today. So join me as I serve you a good helping of New Game Plus Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. So I started one seeing what New Game Plus had to offer. I thought it was the same game, just with stronger enemies, but nope, I was dead wrong. I get more enemies that takes more hits to kill, like soldiers with eagles flying at you, red phantoms of enemies, and respawning invasions. So, yeah, fudge me in the outs. So I make my way to Majula, talk to the Emerald Herald, and test out my weapon on this mimic. And, oh god, what have I done? That damage is pitiful. I'm also using the work hood, which is a little better by maybe 10 or 20 points. But it's not much better. It's not much better. I mean, it does do bleed, which would be helpful if bleed was actually good in the game. Now, I'm not exactly sure how bleed actually works in Dark Souls 2, but I know in Dark Souls 1 it was broken, but Dark Souls 2, it seems like it only does like maybe 200 bleed damage, which is good for the work hook, but everything else, it's just pitiful. After 5 minutes of whacking, the creature dies, and my ladle is nearly broken. Luckily, I had repair powder from the last playthrough, but I don't have much, and I won't be able to get more until I'm halfway through the game. So I gotta be careful how I use it. The big problem with this one is the weapon durability on the ladle is really weak. I think it breaks faster than any other weapons I own, and the hook is no better. But the hook does bleed damage, which should be good, but it's been heavily neutered from Dark Souls 1. So, yeah, fudge me, right? Anyways, I killed a mimic and cheesed the dragon rider for some extra souls and made my way to the Forest of Fallen Giants. There, I tried to speed through the area and cheese the pursuer, but messed that up, so now I got rotten cheese. So after that plan failed, I go through the place, dodging and weaving until I get to the last giant. The fight's not too bad if you know what you're doing, but the weapons I have is complete doggy doo-doo. So yeah, I died. Second attempt, I summoned NPCs to help to speed up the process, and eventually, the last giant goes down. So, yay me. Grab the key and make my way to the pursuer. Here, I try to use the ballista, but he said no. So after the first ballista is down, I decided to serve him a good helping of a Crusader whoop-ass. In this fight, I can't lie to you, this fight took me 27 minutes. Not because I kept dying, but because I was doing 15 points of damage. I'm dead serious. So this gives me a good idea of how long the boss fights are going to be, but I first tried the pursuer. Let's go. Flew over to the Lost Bastille to grab some stuff and feathered back to make my way to No Man's Wharf and fight the Flexstyle Sentry and his merry men, apparently. It took me a few tries, but with ladle and tons of explosive in tow, the sentry goes down. After that, I unlock the Shaded Woods to get some supplies, like lightning urns and gold pine resin. Then make my way back to the Lost Bastille to fight the Rune Sentinels and the Lost Center. The Sentinels were the same gank as always, but the Center had a surprise for me. She invited Pyro Invaders. Yay. Halfway through a health bar, they spawn in just to burn my ass to a crisp, but eventually I pulled through with some NPCs. During my playthrough, I tried a lot of stuff to speed up the process, like firebombs, pine resin, spells, and it seems like it's taken forever. But despite all that, I went for the rest of the Lord Souls, like the Rotten, the Old Iron King, and the Dukes the Affrayer. After I'd gotten them all, I encountered Alia just taunting me because I didn't get to fight him on my first playthrough. So I thought I'll make it right. So basically to give you an idea of what I'm going through just to fight this guy, I have to collect all of the Lord Souls, light all the primordial bonfires, light the bonfires at the Undead Crypt, which is after Shrine of Maaaaan, and make my way through the Undead Crypt, kill Volstaff, and to get the King's Ring, go to Dragonland to get the Ashen Mist Heart, to get Giant Souls, so it can lower Vendrick's defenses to fight him, because I have to kill Vendrick to get to Aldia. That's a chores list and a half just to fight the title boss. So the quest lines in these games are cryptic as hell. To fight the Darklurkers, hear me out. You have to find an old man in a underground area in Draenlink Castle, join his covenant, go into a portal, and if you die there, the old man moves in one of 3 locations just to get another chance to go through that area to fight the Darklurkers. That's a hop, skip, and a freaking lunge just to fight an optional boss. Ah, gee whiz. Anyways, after going through Draenlink Castle, fighting the Dragon Riders and the Mirror Knight, I made it to the Shrine of Maaaaan. And it's here where I had enough of this. I've been doing despawning work with the weapons I've been using for my previous playthrough, just to make the runs a bit easier, and to make a pathway so when I see the fog wall, I can just run straight to the fog wall with almost no enemies, just to make it easier on myself. But during all of that, I did some research on the run, and found out you can make the ladle more powerful, but first of all, it's a pain in the ass, and it's kind of confusing as all hell. But I'll tell you. You need the old Mundane Stone and infuse it to the ladle. This will make it to where the ladle has scaling. But the way it works is kind of odd because from what I understand from watching a video on this, the stones is supposed to scale with your lowest stat. And it seems like in one guy, I was watching this video of the one guy who's doing this one, and he seems like he kept all of his stats leveled so that way his lowest stat just increases. So basically he leveled out his whole stats, like all of his stats were like set to like 30, 35 or whatever, and the ladle was doing pretty decent damage. But yeah, the scaling gets confusing. But after this little discovery, I'm playing Dark Souls like a normal person would. I mean, not as good as the other guy's video, but it's a lot better than what I was working with so far. And I decided to take on the Demon of Song. And it was magical. I was doing decent damage, and using lightning pine resin for the water areas made it a hell of a lot more damage. So yeah, this I can work with. After I killed the Demon of Song, I made it to the Undead Crypt, talked to Alia, and got bombarded by ghouls, invaders, and ghosts. It was hell. It was hell for me, I'm not gonna lie. So maybe after 6 strokes later and a trip to the hospital, I make it to Volstadt. So anyways, I start swinging and serving him death. Say hi to Grandpa, grab his ring, and make my way to Dragonland. I try to find my way through, but no dice, so I ran for my life. Because I ain't got time for that. Grab the Ancient Mist Hearts from the dragon, which I spared the dragon this time. He doesn't need to die, he can live this time. Because I'm not spending 6 hours going into Dragon Toes. Go through the Giant's memories to fight the Giant Lord with mixed results. But with a quick reset, and the Lord goes down. Not my Lord, but the Giant's Lord. Went back to Vendrick for a tango, and he didn't seem interested at first. But after a while, he's ready to dance. And he whooped my ass because I was doing maybe 50 damage to him, maybe 45. Because I only grabbed the Giant Lord Soul, and I didn't grab any other souls. Because I figured I didn't need all 5 of them, I just needed 1, and I could just kill them. But that damage was pitiful, and I needed more souls. So I went back, grabbed a few more giant souls, came back for round 2, and it actually went well this time. So after all that, it's time to end this. Took out the Throne Watcher Defender, smacked the hell out of Nassandra, and finally, I get to fight Aldia, Scholar of the First Sin. And from what I heard, this is the easiest boss in the game, like, probably easier than the Rotten. So, this should be easy.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
So, yeah, this took me a while because I wasn't familiar with Aldia's movesets. Because I've seen videos of this boss fight, but I haven't seen, like, the full boss fight, so I don't know all of his moves. The only time I've seen him in videos is where he shows up on screen, they give him a few smacks, and he had a fire, like, shield around him, and they just beat the game. So, yeah, I was not familiar with his movesets. But even though it took me a few tries, eventually the smog monster goes down, and I have defeated Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin with a ladle, and a hook, and spells, and a lot of firebombs. But after all that, do I still hate the game? I don't hate it, but I can't say that I love it either. I mean, it's a challenging game, don't get me wrong, and some of the boss fights are pretty dang cool, and the area is just beautiful to look at, but it's just one of those games to where the story for me doesn't make a lick of sense, and sometimes I just don't focus on the story. Hell, my biggest worry is that having a lot of souls and just losing them in a tough area and dying again and before you would claim them. It's just always been like that game of anxiety that just kind of rushes through you. But at the same time, it's really not that bad. I mean, as long as you don't take it seriously and if you know all the boss's movesets, then this game is a breeze. But other than that, like, I don't hate the games. I just find them frustrating. And I know a lot of people find them frustrating. But for me, Dark Souls 2 isn't my most favorite of the Dark Souls games, but it does have some good qualities to it. Like, I love the intro, and I think the boss fights in Dark Souls 2 are probably a hell of a lot cooler than Dark Souls 1 and 3, to be honest with you. Like, Dark Souls 1 had the only cool boss that Dark Souls 1 had was probably Sunai Artorias. Like, that's my favorite boss fight, even though he's hard, but he's probably the coolest one. Sith was cool, but it was basically fighting a giant wolf. Capital Demon sucks. The Bed of Chaos sucks because if you don't know the trick to killing him without dying, then he's just a big pain in the ass. But Dark Souls 2, I think it has some cool bosses. I mean, the Ancient Dragon, the Old Dragon Rider, or the Old Dragon Slayer, my bad. Meo Knight, I like the way Meo Knight's weapons look. Some of the DLC bosses are cool. Like, I don't remember the samurai's name from the Broom Tower. It was like I don't remember. I really don't remember its name. But Ivory King was a pain in the ass, but he was kind of fun to fight. Who else? I don't know. I like the fight. I don't know. The Slumbering Dragon was a cool boss fight. The Pursuer was cool. I like the Pursuer's armor and sword. But yeah, while it's not my favorite Dark Souls game, it's still something that I will go back to from time to time because sometimes I like a good challenge. And even though this is a game that takes patience to get good at, it's probably one of the best games to teach you about patience, in my opinion. So, with that being said, this is the end of my Dark Souls 2 journey. Will I play the third one? Who knows? Only time will tell. But with that being said, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell, and I'll see you on my next crusade. See ya.
Vira homem, porra.